Unity's new price plan sparks outrage, Steam turns 20, and the Diablo 4 event where hardly anyone showed up. I'm Ash Dixon, and this is GINX News. Unity unveiled its new price plan for developers yesterday, and boy, it did not go down well. It's of course one of the most popular video game engines in use today, and now the developers using it are expected to cough up. The main complaint came from the new runtime fee, meaning that developers using the free tier of development services would owe 20 cents per installation. Now, a game does have to hit a threshold of 200,000 downloads and $200,000 of revenue to be applicable, but Unity originally said that repeatedly deleting and installing games on the same device would result in multiple fees. Not only that, but the fees come into effect from the start of 2024, and not just for games launched after that date. No, the fees start applying for every Unity game that's currently available to play, meaning developers have to pay a new fee out of nowhere that they never agreed to. And as you can imagine, people weren't exactly happy. It started with indie dev Aggro Crab, who tweeted to point out that their game, Another Crab's Treasure, is coming to Xbox Game Pass next year. That means a free install for potentially 25 million subscribers. Now let's just say, I don't know, a tenth of them give it a go. That's $500,000 in fees. They continued on that they would have to abandon Unity or risk the company, signing off the message by saying, "I hate it here." And the studio behind Among Us, Inner Sloth, chipped in too, saying if the changes go through, they'd delay content while they port their games elsewhere, finishing the message with, "Stop it, WTF." Well, after that absolute dumpster fire of an announcement, Unity jumped back on the scene to try and clear things up. Apparently, they had regrouped to discuss the issue and backtracked the fee applying to games repeatedly installed on the same device. However, an extra fee will be charged when it's installed on a second device, say a Steam Deck. As for subscription services like Game Pass, they've clarified that the fee would actually be charged to distributors, so in this case, Microsoft. However, I still can't help but think that distributors will take this additional cost into account when making deals with developers, so it's still going to sting either way. They've also said that due to the thresholds, only 10% of Unity developers will actually wind up paying the fees, and that's where we're up to right now. So what do you think, and what does it mean for Unity? Let us know in the comments down below. Steam has officially turned 20! Yesterday marked the special day, and to celebrate, Steam returned its homepage to its original green colouring and shared a fun little timeline for the platform. It begins with, "The year is 2003. MySpace launches, Arnold Schwarzenegger becomes the governor of California, and In the Club is the #1 song. Also entering the club that year, Steam." And while we're feeling all nostalgic, I thought I'd take a trip down memory lane and have a look at my own Steam profile's history. It was created back on the 21st of February 2008, which was my 12th birthday, where I got my very first hand-me-down PC. Originally, my Steam name was Ash the Nutter, which was an interesting choice of name. Basically, my older brother used to have a World of Warcraft character called Crazy Aaron. Well, being a true sibling and being 4 years younger, when it came to making my own character, I essentially just ripped him off. Now, I was broke as a kid, so my first purchase didn't happen until December, and it was of course the classic Gary's Mod. And boy, did my friends and I have fun with that one. And clearly I got some Christmas money because my next purchase was Peggle Deluxe and Counter-Strike Source on the 27th of December. Absolute classics. I definitely recommend jumping in on the nostalgia, and I'm curious to know what your first game was on Steam. EA has confirmed that The Sims 5 will be free to download. And while that might initially sound like great news, some people have raised concerns. It's mainly due to EA's choice of words here. Notice how they didn't say free to play. No, they've described it as free to download. Now, that could be nothing, but just this summer, the developers Maxis posted a job listing describing the game as free to enter. And that just makes me think of one of those amusement parks where sure, you can walk around and enjoy the sights for free, but if you actually want to go on any of the rides, well, then you've got to pay up. That might not be a big issue for some, but considering how much content they pump out for The Sims 4, the costs could rack up quickly. I mean, the retail price of all The Sims 4 DLC literally amounts to over $1,000 at this point. Now, we of course don't have any specific numbers when it comes to the game's monetization, but you really can't blame gamers for having their skepticisms. And interestingly, The Sims 4 has had a bit of a renaissance following it becoming a free-to-play game, with EA claiming that the title now reaches more than 70 million players around the world. And taking that into account, it looks like it will exist alongside the new game whenever that comes out. A Diablo 4 event in South Korea saw a shockingly low turnout over the weekend. The game launched only a few months ago to a ton of hype and lots of favourable reviews, but excitement for the game has seemingly slipped into oblivion over in South Korea. The live event was hosted by Blizzard Korea and esports broadcaster 10 and featured two teams going head to head in Diablo 4. Yet the stream barely hit 300 viewers, and inside, the stands were left almost completely empty. In fact, according to a Reddit post, someone who attended the event, who had permission to stream, was told to stop after he expressed his surprise at the lack of attendees. And overall, it just doesn't paint a good picture for Diablo 4. We all know how well Season 1 initially went down when that dropped, though many thought the game would bounce back. But are you still playing it? Let us know in the comments down below. Now it's time for Starfield Unpeeled, the new segment that I've just made up because apparently everyone won't shut up about Starfield. And you may be thinking, Starfield Unpeeled? What an awful name. Well, screw you, because the first story is about potatoes. 50,000 of them, in fact. Essentially, a whole load of people have been making use of Starfield's console commands, allowing them to spawn hundreds or even thousands of in-game items. Each one has a unique ID, and with one single command, you can produce as many as your heart desires. Well, as long as your GPU can handle it. Well, streamer and developer Alana Pierce decided that potatoes were her item of choice, and standing in a bedroom at Constellation HQ, she decided to spawn them in 10,000 at a time. Now that's all well and good, but Starfield handles the physics of every single item individually, so by the time she got to 40,000, she was hitting just 6 FPS. Better yet, once she reached 50,000 potatoes, she then realized that the game was no longer spawning them in her room, but instead they were spilling out into the entirety of the building. Potatoes for everyone. And then, unsurprisingly, the whole thing just crashed. But while people have been loving the in-game physics, one aspect that hasn't been receiving such praise is the Irish accents in the game.
Bollocks! Is that how I come off now?
Now, there's a good chance you didn't even realise that was supposed to be an Irish accent, and I guess there's an argument to be had that this is far into the future, so maybe terrible sounding, inconsistent accents just organically exist now. Or maybe Bethesda just has a terrible track record when it comes to Irish accents in its games, and should just hire an Irish voice actor. And that's the show. We'll be back tomorrow, so make sure to subscribe and please consider giving the video a like, as it massively helps us out. We'll see you tomorrow.
What are you doing?
Just roll with it. Just roll with it.